So we need to talk about 2015's Jurassic World because the original Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's pretty damn close to being the perfect movie, but I was so let down by Jurassic World. So much so that here we are, December 2019, and I'm still making a video complaining about it because it still bugs me all these years later. So, just to get into it, there are actually a lot of things that are good about it. I mean, it made over $1.5 billion globally, so clearly it did some things right. For instance, I went with a bunch of friends, and for the most part, they really enjoyed it. It's a decent popcorn movie. Watch it on an afternoon and eat some popcorn, and you're gonna have a good time as long as you don't think too hard about some things, and then you forget about it the next day, and it doesn't change your life. But as someone who was so heavily invested in wanting to like this movie, because I'm such a huge fan of the first and second Jurassic Parks, third is shit, we'll ignore it. So I was kind of let down by this movie. But like I said, it did do some things very well. So the first thing it did very well is that we actually got to see the park running as a park for the first time. The beginning of the movie is kind of dedicated just following the two children characters, the two teenagers, and watching them get to see and experience the park. And that was really amazing. That's all I wanted. Give me that movie, Like, I don't want to see the dinosaurs escape. I don't want to see all the drama. I just, give me a virtual tour through the park. Like, in the original Jurassic Park, remember how they had that kind of ride? And they took the ride and they got the screen, they got the little DNA strand kind of animated character explaining how the process of extracting the DNA from the amber works. Give me that through Jurassic Park, or I guess Jurassic World now. Give me that. That's what I want to see. So I really enjoyed that part of the movie, getting to see the park run as a park, seeing thousands of people in the park and children oohing and awing and just being in awe of these magnificent, wondrous things that we created. I really liked that. The second thing I really liked about the movie was Chris Pratt, which I was actually surprised at because Chris Pratt was kind of, he was kind of at the height of his fame. He just came off of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I wasn't expecting to like him as much as I did in this movie because when I found out I'm like, Chris Pratt, the Parks and Recs guy in a Jurassic Park. I don't think that'll work, but it did work very, very well. He was the kind of salt of the earth, grounded character that we as an audience can connect to, because he will actually vocalize what we, the audience, are hopefully thinking when another character does something incredibly stupid. So he was that very needed bridge between us and the movie and lended a lot of kind of authenticity to this movie, which is something that the movie desperately needs. So now let's get into the bad, and the following will be filled with spoilers. Personally though, I just warning you as a courtesy, just watch the video because the movie's shit, and if you plan to watch the movie in 2019 and haven't seen it yet, then you're not missing out on anything, and I'm probably going to save you a lot of trouble just going through this review now. So let's get into it now. So one thing I want to say now that I'm thinking about some of the bad things about the movie, it's kind of like, when you have that favorite TV show that you just absolutely love and you're recommending it to a friend, so you're like, oh, you have to watch this episode. And as you're talking about that episode, it reminds you of another episode. So then you're like, oh, this one's the best episode. Next thing you know, you're kind of 20 episodes later and you realize you just recommended 20 episodes claiming that each one was the best episode you've ever seen. We're kind of doing the same thing here, just in reverse. Instead of being the best, it's kind of like, this is the worst. And then 2 seconds later, I'll say something completely different and claim that it's the worst. Because it really is going down the rabbit hole, and you can't talk about one terrible, stupid thing without kind of talking about the connected, stupid things. And unfortunately, this movie is so incompetently written that it really is a giant web of interconnected things, and each individual part is stupid. Combine them, it's just a giant stupid web of stupidness. So something I care a lot about is motivation. I can accept that a thing happens, but I like to know and understand why it happened. Like, why does a character feel this way? Why did a character do that? Why did they make the villain of this movie? So you can make the argument that in the original Jurassic Park that the villains were the Velociraptors and the T-Rex. You can make that argument, but it's not really true. I mean, Jurassic Park, it's almost like a good zombie film in that the villains aren't the zombies, the villain is man, it's us, it's humans. It's our own greed and fear and that kind of thing. And in Jurassic Park, the villains was once again us. It was our own hubris. It was us, we never asked ourselves the question of whether we should cross a line. I mean, to paraphrase and butcher the great Dr. Ian Malcolm, you kept asking yourselves whether you can, whether you can, whether you can. You never stopped to ask yourselves whether you should. That's what made the original Jurassic Park so great. In this movie, however, they just kind of get rid of all that. I mean, there was kind of a C plot that was mostly erased. You can kind of see some of the elements sprinkled out throughout, but I feel like the C plot was supposed to be bigger, but they just chopped it away until it became almost nothing. And the C plot has some of those morality questions, but the truth of it is just so stupid and inane that it just completely undercuts its own message of that should we, just because you can doesn't mean you should, So unlike the first movie where it's like humans, their own hubris and our science are pushing the boundaries, not setting that line that you cannot cross. Instead of that being the villain, in this one they just went straight up, no, the dinosaur is the villain. And the dinosaur in this one is the Indominus Rex. And it's funny because it's like in Jurassic World 2, they just kind of went full out with it. Like in Jurassic World 2, the enemy was the I-Raptor, the Indominus Raptor, or whatever it was called, where they pretty much went straight up universal monster horror movie, like the werewolf in the haunted mansion, or the vampire sneaking in to drink your blood at night. Ooh, they kind of went, they just fully went out and went like, no, the dinosaurs are the monsters in this movie. And in Jurassic World 2, I feel like was the stepping stone for that, where they just went straight up, nah, screw all that morality, screw in between the lines and all that. The I-Rex, the Indominus Rex is going to be the villain of this movie. And it just, it's like a movie that actually was deep and had layers, just all of a sudden became so one-dimensional. But you know what? I can get away with that. Let's figure out why the I-Rex is the villain, why the I-Rex exists. So this is part of the C plot as well, because the reason that we, the audience, are told that the I-Rex exists is the same reason that Claire, one of the main characters, she's the woman who runs the park's kind of day-to-day operations. She's given the same explanation, which is basically that people are so bored of dinosaurs now that they just needed to straight up make their own dinosaur that was bigger, stronger, and more interesting, scarier to bring in patrons. And that's just so stupid. I mean, to directly quote Henry Wu, who is one of the main scientists responsible for genetically engineering these people, played by B.D. Wong, you didn't ask for reality, you asked for more teeth. And so that's the kind of reason that we, the audience, and the main character Claire is given for the existence of the Indominus Rex. Apparently in this universe, by the way, the park, I believe, opened its doors in 2005. The events take place 2015. So the park's only been up and operational for 10 years. So apparently in this universe, in literally a decade, the world saw these beautiful, majestic Brachiosauruses and T-Rexes and the giant Mosasaurus, the new swimming dinosaur, the Mosasaurus. I know it's not an actual dinosaur, but apparently the world saw this, and within 10 years was like, yeah, I don't care. I have a local zoo. There's rhinos and monkeys and bats and lions and bears. I don't really care about dinosaurs, man. So that's the world we live in. And by the way, every time we see the park, there's literally thousands of people. It's like shoulder to shoulder. You can't even move. The place is so packed. So it's not like they're desperate for patrons. So right there, the first reason we're given, the motivation for why this dinosaur exists, is already just stupid. It's stupid. I hate it. But as I alluded to, there's actually a C plot that's kind of hidden beyond there. And I believe that the C plot gives the real reason for the I-Rex's existence, which is even more stupid. So early in the movie, we're introduced to Chris Pratt's Owen. And Owen has the coolest job in the world. He's a velociraptor trainer. That's dope. Lion tamer? Get out of here, buds. I'm a raptor trainer. So he's basically trying to train these raptors, almost like dogs, like a pack mentality where he becomes the alpha of the pack. And following Owen around like a lost puppy who thinks he has actual bite is a character called Vic Hoskins. And Vic Hoskins is Jurassic World's private security team. He's the head of that. And he basically wants to know whether Owen is able to successfully train these raptors for military purposes, because the main umbrella company, InGen, which was actually Dr. Hammond's company in the first movie, and was the company in the second movie that wanted to go to the island to steal the dinosaurs and bring them back to San Francisco to build a park there. InGen's still involved, and they want to basically weaponize dinosaurs, which is just so freaking stupid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list off some of the abilities and traits that the Indominus Rex has, and then I'll let you decide whether the real reason is because they wanted to send this thing into war or not. Hint, they absolutely do. So first of all, the I-Rex was Frankenstein from many different species. It was made from dinosaurs like the T-Rex and Velociraptor. It was also spliced with some modern animals like cuttlefish and tree frog. So the Indominus Rex can run up to speeds of 30 miles per hour. It has well-developed forelimbs complete with opposable thumbs and a giant claw on each middle. It's able to change color thanks to the cuttlefish DNA, allowed it to basically camouflage and change colors. And the cuttlefish DNA also allowed it to grow at an expedited rate. Because of the tree frog DNA, it's able to hide its infrared signature and also detect the signatures of others. And because of the Velociraptor DNA, it's got an extremely high level of intelligence, as well as the ability to communicate with other raptors. So basically, yeah, the I-Rex's real purpose was war, because apparently Jurassic World doesn't know what drones are, or snipers, or landmines, or bazookas, or fricking pointy sticks. I mean, to be fair, a pointy stick wouldn't help against the I-Rex, but, it's made out of flesh. Although, to be fair, now that I'm thinking about this, seeing the I-Rex in, plated armor would be pretty cool, but that still ain't gonna help it against pretty much anything. So, yeah. The reason for this thing's existence is stupid on both, the main reason, if most people, when you watch the movie, you'll think that it's just an attraction. If you're reading between the lines, you'll figure out it's wartime. Both are stupid. The wartime one's even more stupid. So now they bring in Owen to go basically inspect the Indominus Rex. To make sure, they get his opinion on how the enclosure is, it's safe, that kind of thing. And he goes there, and he's kind of getting a backstory on the Indominus Rex. He learns that literally the first thing this creature did when it was born was kill its sister. So already it's like, ooh, this thing isn't just an animal, it's evil. They're really setting it up to be an actual villain. So because I guess the humans were scared of this thing, they basically rose it in solitude. So the Indominus Rex never had any physical touch. It never interacted with other dinosaurs. It never even interacted with people. It was actually being fed by an impartial machine. So it has pretty much no interaction with living biological intelligent life. And within 30 seconds of seeing this enclosure, Chris Pratt says what I hope everyone in the audience was thinking. Yeah. This dinosaur is crazy. This is a bad idea, guys. So as they're kind of looking, they're in this big case, and they're trying to figure out, okay, well, where is that? I want to see the thing. Where is it? And they're like, oh, I don't know where it is. So they turn on the infrared sensors, and oh shit, it's not showing up on the infrared sensors. But remember when I said it can hide its infrared because of tree frog magic? We know that, because I just told you, because that's what the Wikipedia page said. But we never actually learned that in the movie until this moment. Apparently no one at Jurassic World had any idea this thing could hide its own infrared signature. So they're like, oh shit, it's not in the enclosure. So they walk into the enclosure and they see this giant, I'm talking massive, this isn't each, there's 3 claw marks this long, concrete scratch marks. And they're thinking holy shit, did this thing freaking claw out and no one noticed? How is this even possible? So while they're there trying to figure out how the hell the Indominus Rex escaped, turns out that she was just camouflaged, and she was just camouflaged and then just jumps out and ganks them and runs out through the open gate, and oh no, now the movie begins and we have to be run away from the Indominus Rex. Because apparently movies don't matter unless there's insane human incompetence. And now we're getting into the worst part of the movie. You'll be hearing me say that a lot. The worst part of the movie is the that the villain is the Indominus Rex is God. I don't know how else to explain it. She's a god. There's a huge leap between information and intelligence. You can be an extremely intelligent person, but unless you have data to feed yourself, you're not going to be able to come to any conclusions. But somehow the Indominus Rex is like god level smart, as in it's able to know about things it would be impossible for it to know. For instance, this thing could hide its own infrared signature, and yet somehow knew to keep that ability secret from humans, and somehow knew that humans had the ability to detect infrared signatures. It somehow knew to do the claw marks on the wall to set up a trap, knowing that humans would come investigate it, even though it never had any interaction with humans. It's not like it could have studied us and learned how we work. Like, did they play this thing in James Bond movies? Is there an LCD, a giant like 80-inch screen in the enclosure that displays James Bond and spy movies? How do the Indominus Rex know to do all these things? You know? So now the Indominus Rex is out and it's killing all the other dinosaurs and could potentially risk human lives. So like, oh, we gotta hunt it down. So they send InGen sends their like security team led by DK. I don't know his name, but he was the actor from the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. He's the kind of leader of the response team, and they go to hunt the thing down. But how do they know where it is? Oh, apparently this thing has a tracker embedded in it. A tracker that no one once decided to check on. An Indominus Rex escapes from the enclosure, and they never thought to check the tracker before. Like they checked the infrared tracker and they're like, oh, it's not here. But you know what, if I was working at this park and I couldn't see it, I'd be like, oh, it's not here, let's check the infrared. Oh no, it's not showing up the infrared. I would assume that the infrared sensors are broken or something, and I'd be like, okay, let's check its actual GPS. Oh good, it's still in the enclosure. I wouldn't just walk into the enclosure with this freaking thing. That's insane. How did no one check the goddamn GPS first? But that doesn't matter. So the response team goes and they follow the tracker, and what they come across is just a giant chunk of meat with the embedder stuck inside of it. And they have that oh shit moment where they realize that the Indominus Rex set another trap. Thing was camouflaged right behind them, jumps out of the trees, chomp, 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 they all dead. The Indominus Rex somehow knew it had a tracker in it. It somehow knew that it was a tracker being used to track it, somehow ripped it out, somehow knew to use the tracker as bait, and then ganked them and killed them all. How did it know to do all of this? Like, let's look at the original Jurassic Park for a moment. So in the original Jurassic Park, the Velociraptors were the intelligent super dinosaurs. But remember, I think his name was Muldoon, the kind of safari guy, the hunter safari guy, was like their head of security. You know, there's a scene where the raptors are attacking the fence, and they're attacking the fence. And Muldoon says that they never attack the same place twice. They're testing the fence for weaknesses. The raptors were intelligent, but they didn't magically know information they couldn't have already. They had to test, they had to learn, they had to experiment, they had to get data in order to make conclusions. That's how logic works. When the raptors saw doors, they couldn't turn doors at first. They had to learn and experiment and figure out the knobs until they're like, oh, I get it now. That's how doors work. If I put my hand here and do this, I can get the door open. You know, they didn't just see a door handle and go, oh, that's how doors work. You know, they needed to see humans use doors, and then they saw, and then they experimented themselves. They gained knowledge through trial and error, which is something that the Indominus Rex would have never had the opportunity to do, and if it did have the opportunity, would never have been able to set these kind of insane traps. She's a god. How is she this smart? How is she this smart? It's stupid. And now for the worst part of the movie. The teenagers. The teenagers. Oh my god, I hate these kids. I hate these kids so much. So there's two of them. There's Zach and Gray Mitchell. Zach is the older, aloof, I'm too cool for dinosaurs. You know, dinosaurs are lame and I'm cool. You know, he's that douchebag. My little brother's holding me down. Meh. He's that douchebag. And the little brother is just a little kid. He's like, oh, dinosaurs are cool. I want to see that. And look at that over there. And, you know, The little kids, he's bearable, but the older kid's just the freaking, he's the worst character ever. There's this whole scene where he actually is like trying to be aloof, trying to like impress these girls that are kind of looking at him, and he's trying to like pretend to like be like not be caring and interested, to be cool, even though these girls never show up again, and the fact that he doesn't like dinosaurs but actually does like them never shows up as a plot point again. Just a complete waste of time. Like Jurassic World writers, every single person watching your movie likes dinosaurs. Every single person watching this movie would they would chop off a leg to be able to go see this park in real life. And yet you make one of your main characters one of the innocents we're supposed to care about what happens to. You make him the most unlikable character who is the personality exact opposite of us, the audience. We love dinosaurs. Why would you make your main character hate dinosaurs? That's stupid and terrible writing. I hate these kids. So when the Indominus Rex escapes, the kids are in the giant hamster ball, the gyrosphere, going on a leisurely ride. And they kind of get like an emergency alert system on their tablet inside. They're basically saying like, oh, we have to prematurely close the ride. Please return back to the entrance. Well, Zach is an idiot teenager. So he's like, don't worry about it. Our aunt is operations manager. We can get away with staying out longer. Well, immediately after that, he gets a call on his cell phone from his aunt. Now, of course, because if his cell phone worked, the movie would end. So, of course, the cell phone reception's spotty because apparently, I don't know, they don't have cell towers. They couldn't even build a cell tower on this island. I don't know. So, of course, it's staticky and you can't really tell what he's saying. But, you can tell that she's, like, panicked and worried. But the point is, it's like you're in a dinosaur park. The ride gets shut down. Your aunt immediately calls you, and you're just like, I'm sure it's coincidence. It's safe. Let's keep going. So these idiots keep going down until they get to this giant. I'm talking massive. Like, remember the original Jurassic with the giant fences? They get to like a fence enclosure like that, and there's this giant gate that's visibly busted open. Like the gate's kind of warped and twisted. It's open. There's a giant sign on it that says "Do not enter." And even Zach says something to the effect of, whoa, I wonder what happened here. So like, even he knows that this gate isn't supposed to be open. So immediately after having the ride shut down, being told to turn back, immediately after getting a call from his aunt that he can't hear or understand, immediately after seeing this wide open busted gate that has a do not enter sign, he says, and I kid you not, let's go off-roading. And they go into the restricted area. No, at this point, even his little brother is like, holy shit, Zach, let's head back, I'm scared. And Zach's like, shut up. Because remember, even though he hates dinosaurs, he really thinks this is cool. And of course, the Indominus Rex is there, and oh no, they chomp and they run away and they almost die. These kids are the worst. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is, as they're running away, there's this one scene where there's like, they jump off a waterfall, and like the T-Rex the I-Rex is like chomping, and it's like, oh, it just barely misses them, and they dive in, and they just barely survive, and then they get back up, and they start laughing and giggling because what a funny experience that was. And then the fact that they almost freaking died 2 seconds ago, like came viscerally close to death, it doesn't affect them at all in any way. They shrug it off like it was a goddamn Scooby-Doo episode. It literally felt like a cartoon. Like if your own characters don't care that they almost died, why should I? And that's the worst part about this movie, is that the characters are just so horribly, horribly written. It's like, I was very, like, this is a movie where I want to be very immersed in. I want to feel for the characters. I want to feel like I'm here at this park. But it really takes you out, and you really notice that you're watching a movie instead of being in the movie. You notice you're watching a movie when you're painfully aware that these kids should be dead, but that they won't die. Because you know that the writers will never allow them to die. They have plot armor. And when you're watching a movie painfully aware that these kids can't die because of plot armor, it just really takes you out of it, you know? This movie is just so bad. I hate it, hate it, hate it. Like, remember original Jurassic Park, Lex and, what was his name? Lex and, what was the boy? Tim and Lex, yeah, that was it. Like, these kids would have needed a lifetime of therapy after those movies. Like, when the T-Rex first attacks, these kids are scared shitless, screaming. It affects them on a very primal level. Like, they're close to death. And, like, Dr. Grant, He has to basically coax Lex out of a storm drain because she refuses to leave. She's terrified. She's in shell shock, She refuses to leave the storm drain because she's like, it's fucking dangerous out there. I want to stay in here. It feels a bit safer. So he has to kind of coax her out, like, don't worry, you're safe. He has to get Tim down out of a tree because Tim's paralyzed with fear, stuck in a tree. He's like, I just almost died. I'm stuck in a tree. I don't want to move. I just want to stay here. And you know what? I get that. I'm 31 years old, and if that was me, you could send the goddamn army to pick me up because I ain't leaving. They felt real. Like there's also the scene when the kids are they're back in the main pavilion. They're kind of eating the dessert. They got like cake, and there's amazing cinematography and frame setup. There's a scene where Lex is eating Jello, and then she hears the noise of a raptor behind her in the back, and she just starts shaking, and the Jello is going like crazy, and she's shaking with fear. And then you see the silhouette, and like it felt so real. You felt for these characters. It was real people in real situations that needed real therapy after this. But Zach and Gray, nah, it's just a Scooby-Doo episode. Screw these kids, right? Fuck, this movie's so bad. So bad. And then Jurassic World 2 happened.